I love Cobra Kai. Is it the best TV show I've ever watched? No. Is it one that I've lost track of how many times I've watched it? Yes. Yes, it is. For those who may not know, Cobra Kai is the sequel series to the famous Karate Kid trilogy. It focuses on the first movie's secondary antagonist, Johnny Lawrence, 34 years later as he reopens Cobra Kai and reignites his rivalry with the original trilogy's main protagonist, Daniel LaRusso. This video will contain spoilers, as I'll be looking over not just Cobra Kai, but also the entire Karate Kid trilogy. If you haven't seen the series, I highly suggest you do so before watching the video. But hey, I can't stop you. What I can do is my best to give you all the best Cobra Kai review video possible. Since this is such a big video, I thought I'd bring some help from another Cobra Kai fanatic in my family, my little brother Stuart.
Hello everyone, thank you for having me. Now, I'm no film expert like my brother. I don't watch a ton of TV or movies. I only watch stuff that's worth my time. And boy, is Cobra Kai worth my time. I'd kill to be able to watch it again for the first time.
Thank you for being here, Stuart. Without further ado, grab your popcorn, grab your lightsabers, put on your gis, and let's swing on into this.
Ready? Let's begin!
I think the first Karate Kid is very solid and one of the quintessential 80s movies. It's a simple coming-of-age story about a young boy who learns to defend himself with karate that's filled with just enough 80s cheese to keep it endearing. Speaking of cheese, I always see people complaining about Cobra Kai being cheesy or corny, but I feel like the original trilogy was already a bit cheesy. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. After all, I am a guy who likes the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies.
It's you who's out, Gobby. Out of your mind.
Demetrian Eli.
The Karate Kid has a ton of heart to it, and I think the reason for that has to be the relationship between Daniel and Mr. Miyagi. Even after all these years, Mr. Miyagi still remains one of the greatest mentors in all of media. By the way, take a shot every time they mention him in Cobra Kai. I can promise you, you'll be dead before the first season is even done. On the other side of the spectrum, we have the antagonists. While Johnny is a great foil for Daniel, it's his sensei John Kreese that really steals the show for me. While he's a ton of fun to watch, he can be a bit much sometimes.
But I like that. I like that.
Also, before I move on to the other movies, I just want to quickly point out, I think it's funny how abruptly they end sometimes.
Mr. Miyagi, I did it!
Hi, Daniel-san. Now movie end.
Next up is The Karate Kid Part 2. I really like the concept of having Daniel and Mr. Miyagi go to Okinawa for the sequel. It's a nice change of scenery, and I like how we get more development with Mr. Miyagi. I do feel like Daniel's character is a bit weak here. Don't get me wrong, he's still great. But I just don't think he was as active in the plot here as he was in the first movie. However, he is responsible for possibly not only my favorite scene in this movie, but in the entire franchise. The scene where Daniel comforts Mr. Miyagi after the death of his father. After going through something similar, I really understood Daniel's speech on my rewatch. Wonderful acting from both Machio and Narita here. This movie also introduces two more antagonists, Sato and his nephew Chosen. Once again, I think Chosen is a fine enough enemy to Daniel here, although I think he really shines in Cobra Kai. But Sato is the one I mostly remember, cause this man was on some premium hater energy.
Now you come to fight? Coward!
I'm trying to save your life, asshole!
In my opinion, The Karate Kid Part 2 isn't as good as its predecessor, but I still enjoy it. Now let's look at that third and final movie. Let's be real here. The best part in the movie is obviously Terry Silver. This guy is the perfect 80s villain. Every scene he's in is a blast. However, I do have one issue with him. My one problem is that I wish they didn't tell us he was evil so early on, and that he's working with Mike and Kreese. I just feel like most of the movie is just waiting for Daniel to play catch up. Also, it's just me, Or would the Kreese jump scare be so much better if we didn't know he was still alive?
It's gonna be, I'm not gonna be there, so just forget about it, alright?
And the rest of the movie is fine though. Like, yep, this sure is a movie about a kid, and oh boy, he sure does karate. I think for now I'll give part 1 a 9 out of 10, part 2 a 7 out of 10, and part 3 a 5 out of 10. Okay, let's get on to the TV show now. You know what the craziest thing about this show is? The fact it's good. The fact the goofy karate show with the premise, what if the bad guy from the first movie was a good guy, didn't turn out completely stupid, is a miracle. Speaking of said bad guy, in Cobra Kai, Johnny Lawrence is the protagonist, at least one of them. Now, this show could have just gone the easy route by switching everything on its head and having Johnny be good and Daniel be evil, but it doesn't. Sure, Daniel isn't always the most stand-up guy, but neither is Johnny. In fact, Johnny's not really doing too well at the start of the show. However, all of that changes when he meets Miguel Diaz, this series' Karate Kid, as some fans say. I don't think I'm alone in saying the relationship between these two characters is one of the best, and possibly the best aspect of the show. You can say what you will about Cobra Kai as a story in general, but one thing you can't deny is that they never miss with the Johnny and Miguel scenes. It's also so amazing to me how great the new characters are, like Amanda, Eli, Robbie, Not You.
You know what? I'm gonna throw him in the goddamn pool.
I will say, one piece of writing that my brothers and I have always poked fun at is the misunderstandings. It seems like so many of these conflicts could be solved if the characters just talked for like 10 seconds. This is particularly the reason why I like Amanda so much. To me, the best part of the season has to be the characters. Each of the characters has their own interesting dynamic with each other, and all of that comes to a head in the season finale. It's so fascinating seeing them all change over the course of the season. In summary, I think it's just amazing to me how solid this season is. It's so simple, but that's what makes it work so well for me. This is a perfect introduction to Cobra Kai, and a perfect reintroduction to the Karate Kid franchise as a whole. Season 2 of Cobra Kai is pretty good. Let's start off with the characters this season. I think the interesting thing about this go-around is that there's no one completely good character here. Everyone in both Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai are equally flawed characters, with stuff you like and don't like about them. Take for instance, this season's new female protagonist and one of my favorite characters overall, Tori Nichols. Serving as Samantha LaRusso's rival, Tori was a great addition to the show. She was fierce and ruthless, but at the same time, you understood where she was coming from. Speaking of Sam, it's time for me to answer the big question. What do I think of her? Obviously I hate her. She was in Chloride for Halloween. How are you gonna do Aisha like that? Come on, girl. One of my favorite episodes from season 2 was the 6th episode, Take a Right, which follows Johnny reuniting with his old Cobra Kai buddies. It was a very cool thing to see, and it's nice that these guys are also looking out for each other. Rest in peace to Tommy and his actor Rob Garrison though. They gave him one great send-off. There's a ton of other great episodes this season, but of course, the real highlight has to be the season finale, No Mercy. God damn, what a finale. First off, we have the school rumble with everyone fighting each other in one of the biggest action sequences in the show. We have Stingray's epic karate, and of course, Miguel breaking his spine. And then we follow that with Johnny losing Cobra Kai and Daniel losing Miyagi-Do. Oh man, now that is how you end a season. It's so crazy that this was almost the end of the show too, if Netflix hadn't picked it up for a 3rd season. Speaking of said 3rd season, let's get into that. Season 3 of Cobra Kai was the first to ever be put on Netflix, and follows up Season 2's ending. I really like this season for all the character development in it. I'm a sucker for comeback stories, and it was really cool seeing everyone reeling from the events of last season. For example, one of my favorite parts of the season was all the stuff with Johnny and Miguel, who they strangely decided to whitewash on the poster for some reason. All the scenes with Johnny helping Miguel get back on his feet were great. While a lot of the characters were great this season, there were a certain group of them that I wasn't the biggest fan of. That being the titular Cobra Kai. I just feel like at this point, the Cobra Kai kids are just getting too evil. Like, they snap Dimitri's arm, break into Sam's house, hurt my man Bert. Then again, Chosen did try and fight Daniel to the death in Karate Kid Part 2, so I guess things haven't changed all that much. Speaking of Chosen, I also really like the Okinawa arc. This is a great way to introduce Chosen into the story, who's honestly one of my favorite characters in the series. I also really like the scene between Daniel and Yukio, where they read the letter from Mr. Miyagi. I would say Ralph Macchio did a great job acting, but deep down, I doubt this was just acting. On the flip side, I think the least interesting part of the season for me was Sensei Kreese's flashback arc, also known as the Vietnam arc. It gave some nice insight into this character, but compared to everything else, it was probably the least interesting part of the season for me. Gotta say, no matter how messy a season of Cobra Kai may be, it never misses with the season finales. Both the house brawl and the fight at the Cobra Kai dojo are spectacular. It's a shame Ali never came back after this, but seeing her here was still nice. So to answer everyone's question, yes, I do think Netflix did a good job following up the first 2 seasons of Cobra Kai. It's not without its flaws, but I found it a satisfying 3rd season. Let's see if the 4th can keep it going. It absolutely can. Season 4 of Cobra Kai, in my opinion, is one of the best seasons of the show, and I think most of that can be accredited to the return of one of the greatest characters of the franchise, Terry Silver.
He's back!
I think Terry's arc this season was amazing. Seeing him start off as a good and honest man, trying his best to become a better person, only to be corrupted by Kreese and turn into an even worse villain than him, is just so compelling. And you can just tell that Thomas Ian Griffith was having the time of his life playing this character. I still can't believe he's younger than Ralph Macchio. Good lord, what is this man's secret? Before we continue on, I'd like to take a look at another interesting aspect of the season. The relationship between Kenny Payne and Anthony LaRusso, aka La Pusso. First off, I just want to say, it was a stroke of genius making the son of the Karate Kid a bully in the sequel series. Anthony's development this season was a great addition to his character, who I wasn't the biggest fan of at the start of the show. I also really liked Kenny's arc too, even if I thought it copied Hawk's arc a little bit. Still, I think he was a nice addition to the show.
La Pusso
Shall know pain. Almighty push.
Now let's get on to the main event, and what the season is probably most notable for. The alliance between Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence. If you had told someone back in '84 that they make a sequel where Johnny is the good guy, you'd be called crazy. If you told that someone that the hero of the Karate Kid would eventually team up with the bad guy, they'd throw you in a mental asylum. Seeing the two of them team up to win the All Valley this season was really nice to see, and it made for some great interactions. I also really like how Miguel became more like Miyagi-Do, and Sam became more like Eagle Fang. I did also like how Daniel and Johnny didn't just automatically become close and best friends. However, if you ask me, after this season, these two should have stopped fighting. At least, as much as they do. Don't get me wrong, it's fun sometimes, but after a while, their bickering just starts to get annoying. It's like watching a bad rom-com with all the will they won't they's BS. I think after this season, they should have realized that their dumb karate rivalry was doing them more harm than good. Even with all these great aspects, my favorite part of the season has to be Robbie. Seeing him go through a similar situation with Kreese as he trains Kenny to defend himself, only for the young boy to become an even bigger bully than his own, was so captivating. And don't even get me started on the scene in the finale of Robbie and Johnny's reconciliation. By far, one of the best scenes in the whole series. Overall, I think this season might be the best one so far, besides Season 1. It's definitely not perfect overall, sure, but I think Season 4 just has so many strong character moments and dynamics. It's a fantastic season, and I can't wait to see what happens next now that Terry Silver is in charge.
You're gonna regret this. I am.
Alright, now we're getting into the good stuff. And by good stuff, I mean the stuff where this show gets way too goofy and over the top for its own good. I mean, like, look at this guy. This is a James Bond villain. I will say, I still really like Terry Silver. He's such a funny antagonist, and it's great seeing him play mind games with Daniel. It's nice that Danny Boy gets to have his own nemesis, instead of just sharing crease with Johnny. Speaking of Johnny, the season also does a great job of developing his relationship with his son Robbie and his other son Miguel. I like seeing him do his best to bring the two of them together, especially since he just got Miguel's mom pregnant.
I just love Latinas.
Miguel.
However, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Mexico plotline, but other than that, I liked all the stuff with Johnny and his two kids. It's great to see them getting along now. Additionally, it was interesting to see Kreese in a position of powerless when he's in prison. It also did a great job further building his relationship with Tori, which is important for the future. However, one part of the prison stuff that I thought was strange was the scene where Kreese is going through therapy. Don't get me wrong, it's great for his character, but I felt like the deepfake young Johnny was a bit weird. Sorry, I'm just not a fan of movies or TV shows do that. Well, hopefully that'll be the last time they do that, right? Anyways, back to the good stuff. Chosen! Who knew that this bad guy from Karate Kid Part 2 could be such a silly goober? So glad they brought him back from Season 3. It was also nice that they brought back Jessica from Part 3 as well, and that they made her Amanda's cousin. To me, this is probably the weakest season of the bunch, but even so, I still have fun with it. Now, let's take a look at the final season to see if they managed to end things off properly. For the Season 6 section, we're going to go over each part on their own and see how they function before looking at how the whole season works together. Anyways, let's look at the first part, which is basically just the training arc. Honestly, I felt this part of the season was a bit slow. There's no real drama, and most of the conflicts are solved pretty easily, besides I suppose the college stuff. Speaking of that, is it just me, or is Dimitri kind of annoying in this season? Don't get me wrong, he gets better as it goes on, but man, it was just not fun to watch him crap on Hawk for wanting to expand his choices. On the flip side, I think the standout character this go around was Tori. I really appreciate how she just started off as Sam's bully and rival, but over the course of the series, became a compelling character in her own right. Peyton List does a phenomenal job playing her, and you can just feel all of her pain in the Part 1 finale, and totally understand why she joined Cobra Kai. Speaking of Cobra Kai, while the Miyagi-Dos are training for Sekai Taikai, Kreese goes to Korea to train their branch of Cobra Kai, along with Sensei Kim and Sensei Wu.
Long before time had a name, the first Spinjitzu master created Ninjago.
Overall, Part 1 wasn't the most interesting to me, but I got a good feeling about Part 2, and that's for one big reason. I love tournament arcs. Stuff like the Chunin exams are just so much fun to watch in my opinion. Seeing characters not only face off against each other, but also have interesting character interactions is great. And since the Sekai Taikai has competitors from all over the world, it leads to some crazy character dynamics. I also like that this season decided to keep the number of participants to the tournament smaller in order to focus on those characters. It's nice that Cobra Kai knows when to cut characters, unlike some shows I know. Back to the negatives. I also wasn't the biggest fan of the whole looking into Mr. Miyagi's past thing they did. It's always cool to get more Miyagi stuff, but did we really need a backstory on why he doesn't like tournaments? I always just assumed he didn't like them because of how they use karate as a sport. and not for self-defense and protection. Well, I guess it's not too bad. I mean, it could be worse. They could use AI. Oh, come on! Okay, I'll stop being mean, because I have to admit, this arc did lead us to the return of the man, the myth, the legend. You already know who I'm talking about. Just play the clip.
Because, Danny boy, what would life be without a few surprises?
Finally, before we move on to part 3, I like to talk about one character, Quan. Is he cool? Yes, absolutely. His martial arts scenes are a ton of fun to watch, and Brandon H. Lee does a great job playing him. However, and this may make some people mad, I wasn't too affected by his death. It was certainly shocking, I'll say that, but I just feel like we weren't really given the reason to sympathize or even care for him. It's like seeing Darth Maul die in The Phantom Menace. A cool character, but you don't really care about them too much. Anyways, enough chit chat. Let's get on to the final part, and this time, I'm gonna let Stuart take the lead. Stu, you have the floor.
This final part of the season and series wrapped everything up perfectly with a bow on top too. First, everything falling into line with Tori defeating Zera and Miguel beating XL. Those characters got a perfect ending to their karate arcs over the whole show. Sure, the perfect tie leading to a sensei battle is a little cliche, but what's Cobra Kai without any cliche? This was badass. Johnny is finally the hero seen by everyone as he takes down Sensei Wolf, giving his karate arc a happy ending too. Outside of the karate world, Kreese and Silver. Oh my gosh. Badass fight with a badass explosion. What more could you want? Kreese goes out in style, taking Silver down with him. Kreese emerges as the definitive hero for the first time in his life as well. The relationships in the end of the show all end up picture perfect as well. Johnny and Carmen's proposal, followed by marriage and childbirth, is all beautiful. He finally has a stable relationship with a woman he loves. Johnny's character is complete. It is nice that Miguel takes a gap year to join Sam in Okinawa. It's a bold move, but it's going to be great for their relationship, and it goes to show how much they care for one another. Robbie and Tori getting their opportunity to be karate ambassadors is a dream come true for them. They get to stick together and do what they love most while getting paid to do it. And the cherry on top, Daniel and Johnny combining their teaching styles again for the nth time to teach students offense and defense, symbolizing a perfect balance. There are very few better scenarios one can imagine for an ending to the story. Every character and every storyline gets complete. Nothing is left hanging. This is what Cobra Kai is about.
Yeah, Cobra Kai is pretty swag. It's one of the most fun shows my brothers and I have ever watched, and unlike some shows I know, it managed to stay strong throughout its runtime. We will talk about you. Anyways, here's my rankings for each season and, the movies too. You can pause and read them if you want. Stu, close us off.
Now, Cobra Kai is not a perfect show in any way, but it's one that I'll be sure to remember. That's it, and stay spectacular.